It's mega spoiler madness in the world of Magic the Gathering. Not only do we have a bunch of Dominaria United to talk about, but on top of that, all 4 of the Warhammer 40k decks have gotten a reveal.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The Magic Historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings! Owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends, I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for mega spoiler good times. We have broken mythics. We have crazy dragons. We even have a nutso cleric that I can't believe they made. Wait till you see it. But on top of that, we have Warhammer 40k spoiler action. So let's dive in with that first. Up on the screen, you're going to see an image of all 4 decks. First thing to note is these are the collector edition commander decks. So these ones come all in foil, but in terms of card art and everything like this, whether you get the regular or collector's edition, it remains the same. So you can see we've got the 4 decks, the Ruinous Powers, Necron Dynasties, Forces of the Imperium, and Tyrannid Swarm. Now, we've already talked about 2 of the lead cards for these commander decks. Abaddon and the Swarm Lord came out previously, but we have 2 brand new cards to talk about. The first is Inquisitor Greyfax. This is from the Imperium deck, and this is 1 black, 1 blue, 1 white, and 1 for a 3/3 legendary human Inquisitor. She has Vigilance, Unquestionable Wisdom, other creatures you control get +1/+0 and have Vigilance, and Hunt for Heresy. 1 and tap target creature an opponent controls, investigate. Now this is an interesting ability because the first half of it, tapping down an opponent's creature, isn't super exciting overall for a creature that costs 4 mana. I mean, that feels like a weak ability overall in Commander, but when you slap on the investigate, now all of a sudden you're getting a clue token that you can sacrifice to draw cards, you're getting an extra artifact out of it, and this can also be used in a Commander game in a sort of like, I will bribe you. You're right, when we're dealing with the politics between commanders, hey, I'll help you out, or I'll get you into a bad situation if you don't do what I want, right? Because you can stop a crucial creature from being able to attack, or you can make it so a crucial creature won't be able to block and get a clue token at the same time. And it boosts your other creatures and gives them vigilance. The fact that you can swing with Greyfax and use the tap ability makes it a little bit better, but I just feel like when it comes to Commander, this is one of the weaker level commanders that you can definitely build around, but ultimately is going to need a boost to really compete with the others. And in terms of the artwork, it's pretty wild. I have seen a lot of Warhammer artwork, and this definitely brings the right vibe. The like stovepipe hat with the candle on it is such a crazy contrast to all the technology that is below it. Like even right below it, you've got that crazy cyber eye. And I just love this sort of, hey, look, we've got this crossbow, but we also have this super futuristic technology and a sword. It's an interesting mix, right? I mean, when I was into Warhammer, I had like the Nurgle army. I wasn't really into the Imperium, but it is a funky card. Now, let's take a look at the Necrons card. This is Sazrek, the Silent King. 3 black and 1 for a 3/4 legendary artifact creature who is a Necron, because the Necrons were originally like a mortal race and they turned themselves into metal people to escape whatever calamity it was. I can't remember. And then they basically went dormant under the planets that they owned and just kind of fell asleep and were forgotten about. And eventually, every once in a while, they wake up and burrow to the surface and get into crazy battles with whoever's living on the surface of what they consider to be their home, right? It's like, hey, we own this world just because we were asleep. Hey, get out of here. And you got the artifact creature vibe. So, what does he do? He's a 3/4 flyer. His flavor text says, "My will be done. Whenever Sarek the Silent King attacks, mill 3 cards. You may put an artifact, creature card, or vehicle card from among the cards milled this way into your hand." I have to be very real about this. This is incredibly underwhelming as an ability, honestly. You have to mill yourself for 3 cards. and then you can only get back one of the cards you milled to put it into your hand. Like, this feels worse than just straight up drawing a card. If he just had, whenever he attacks, draw a card. Why does he have 3 black in his casting cost? Why does it have to be this restricted to mono black, right? There's nothing about this that screams it. Like, you could easily go 1 black and 3 for this. I genuinely don't get why he feels so weak, and it's too bad because the artwork is epic, right? I mean, this is some crazy leader of the Necrons. They have like their different tiers. Some of them are less ornate, and once you get up to the ruler class, they become really impressive, like this dude. And they have resurrection orbs that will bring them back. Like, look at the green glowing energy around him. This is massively epic. The only thing about the artwork that does make me chuckle, and I can't not see it anymore, is down in his chest cavity, it looks like a big electrical socket. Like, it looks like he's just waiting for somebody to come and plug something into him. Bro, I need plug something in. Do you need to get your car ready? Are you going to bed tonight and it's really cold out? And are you guys somewhere where you have to do that? It gets that way in Canada, where you literally have to like plug your car into your home so that your engine doesn't completely freeze up and get destroyed so you'll be able to use it. It's like crazy nonsense when it comes to this super cold, and it just makes me think of him having this plug. Here you go. Thanks for juicing up my iPad, Sarek. You're the best, man. And he says nothing because he's the silent king. My will be done, but I don't tell anybody my will. So I'll just dig through some garbage and put a card back in your hand. I got to admit, I'm underwhelmed by the power of the card, but you know what? It is cool looking. Now, let's talk about some Dominaria United stuff. If you are a dragon lover, buckle up, because we got a lot of dragon loving. First thing, the Elder Dragon War. This is a really cool card. 2 red and 2. And now these are new sagas that have an extra ability called Read Ahead. And I love this as a concept. You can choose where you want to start on the saga. Normally you have to progress through the saga and do level 1, level 2, level 3, but if you want to, you can play this card and immediately go to level 2 or immediately go to level 3. And the trade-off is you sacrifice the previous levels. You don't get to get their abilities. So you can go straight up, cast the Elder Dragon War, and make a 4/4 dragon token the first turn. You just don't get to do the first 2 abilities. So you would skip it doing 2 damage to each creature and each opponent, and you would skip the discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards. I really enjoy the versatility that this brings to sagas. I really love sagas in Magic. Richard Garfield is the one who created sagas. He was brought back in for Dominaria, the first Dominaria set, where he came up with the idea of sagas, and I'm glad they've become an entrenched part of Magic. The idea is that each of these sagas tells you an entire gigantic storyline in one card, and that's the idea behind this. This is the war between the original Elder Dragons. You know, the ones that are getting a secret lair? They had a war forever ago. And if you look at the artwork, this is actually a genuine wood carving. This is a physical wood carving that was done, not a painting. And that bark was glued on there, and then fake tree resin, because real tree resin's all sticky and gross, right, was applied to this as well to give it this natural look. So it is literally a piece of wood with this carved into it. And I love that the sagas have the gigantic, crazy, long artwork on one side, because it really does change the entire aspect of the Magic card. This is an absolute win on every level. What a great card. Moving on, we've got more dragon action with Rith, Liberated Primeval. 1 white, 1 green, 1 red, and 2. So he's cheaper than the previous Rith. 5/5 flying with Ward 2. Other dragons you control have Ward 2. That's nuts. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature or planeswalker an opponent controlled was dealt excess damage this turn, create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. That's amazing. So by excess damage, what that means is, let's say your opponent has a creature with 2 toughness. If you do 3 damage, so damage in excess of its toughness, then you meet this condition. So it can be something as simple as you attack with your dragon and he chump blocks it with a creature that's not big enough to absorb all 5 points of damage. Well, guess what? Now you get a 4/4 red dragon creature. Like, that is nutty. At the beginning of every end step, he's just going to go, yeah, here, have a 4/4 red dragon. It's awesome. And the artwork is incredible. The stained glass stuff that they are doing with Dominaria United is pretty much unparalleled in terms of styles. The only other style that I've really enjoyed probably on this level would be the Throne of Eldraine storybook styles, which were gorgeous. But this stained glass stuff is an absolute home run. I have the stained glass walkers in my secret lair, and I have the stained glass walkers from the secret lair in my cube, and I absolutely intend to add stained glass versions of cards like this to it as well, because I am blown away by how gorgeous this looks. Moving on, we've got another stained glass card. This is Sten, Paranoid Partisan. Now, he features prominently in the Phyrexian aspect of the Dominaria United storyline. If you haven't checked that story out yet, it's over on my Fantasy Geographic channel, where I will tell you the whole story in glorious detail. So I'll leave a link at the end of the video if you're interested. 1 white, 1 blue for a 2/2 legendary human wizard. When he enters the battlefield, choose a card type other than creature or land. Spells you cast of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast. So he enables cheapifying a range of different spells. But what's really neat is his extra ability. 1 blue, 1 white, and 1. Exile him, return him to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So you can basically bounce him out and bring him back, which allows you to change the type of spells that he is going to make cheaper. And because you can do it at instant speed, you can basically do it during your opponent's turn, and then when he comes back at the end step, boom, you have him ready for your turn, right? You can use him as a chump blocker, pop him out, send him back in, and he's ready to reduce spell costs, which is great, on top of just having a creature that can come back and forth for any enter the battlefield effects that you might have or leave the battlefield effects you might have. And the artwork is awesome. You've got Sten in the foreground here, and it's all got this kind of dark menace with the shadowed eyes, but then behind him, you've got this dark, shadowy figure. Who is that? It kind of looks like Karn, mega mad. I'm not 100% sure who that is supposed to represent. Is that Karn getting angry? What are you doing, Sten? Are you reading my fan fiction? Don't read my fan fiction about Joyra, Sten. Okay, moving on. We have a card that I genuinely don't know if this one is good or bad. This is Leyline Binding. 1 white and 5 for an enchantment with flash. It's got Domain. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each basic land type among lands you control. Now, when it enters the battlefield, you exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. So it functions like a lot of enchantments we've seen in the Oblivion Ring fashion, where it will remove a permanent until the enchantment's gone. However, most of the enchantments that will do this cost 3 or less. And this spell can cost 3 or less if you have enough different lands out, but it can also cost only 1 mana and be cast at instant speed. So it really does make me start to wonder, when you have things like shock lands and fetch lands, is this actually way more powerful than it seems? Or is this something that gives you an idea of, whoa, this could be really powerful, but ultimately falls flat? Because paying 6 mana to get rid of something at flash speed's a terrible deal, although you'll never really be paying 6 mana because you'll always have at least one of the land types, presumably, right? Like if you're playing a white deck, you're probably going to have a plains out, which means it's going to cost 5 at most. But at the same time, that is a hefty casting cost. The artwork is awesome, though. I love the fact that the binding magic is all 5 different colors. That really ties into the fact that when you have Domain, it's easier to do. You can use magic from all 5 ley lines running across Dominaria or whatever plane you're on, draw magic from them, and use it to bind anything into a state of non-existent stasis. That is really flavorful and cool. After that, we've got Aether Channeler. 1 blue and 2 for a 2/1 human wizard. When he enters the battlefield, choose 1. Make a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. Return another target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Or draw a card. This is really versatile. The bounce, the creature, the draw, they're all great options. It kind of seems on the surface like, All right, you know what I mean? Sure, you're paying 3 mana. You're getting a 2/1 and a 1/1 flyer. Whoop-de-doo. You're bouncing a card. Okay, it's kind of like Mana War, except Mana War can only hit creatures, right? Drawing a card. Well, that's all right. Each ability by itself feels kind of meh. But it's the fact that you can choose from all 3, and the fact that there's going to be a ton of ways, obviously, to bring this guy back, reuse him. So ultimately, I think there's more tucked onto this card than meets the eye. And the artwork's awesome. This guy is in an Aether Gale that it looks like he's controlling himself with his staff, right? The magic is whipping around him. He's got this epic looking rod where you've got all the lightning flowing through it. And he's got his other hand held forward where the tome is just drifting up beneath it, chained to his belt in the Talarian style. And he's even got an hourglass. At a glance, you see an hourglass stuck on his belt. It's really cool, man. I really like this artwork. He looks very wizardy. Moving on, we've got Thran Portal. This is cool, first of all, just because it references the Thran and is a portal, but it's also amazing because it's a very weird gate. So it enters the battlefield tapped unless you have 2 or fewer other lands. So if you have a few lands, then you get to use it normally. Otherwise, it's going to come out tapped. When it enters the battlefield, choose a basic land type. So it's the chosen land type in addition to its other types. So you'll notice it's actually a gate. So if you're playing gate decks, if you like Nine-Fingered Keen, who actually has an incredible backstory, Wizards really should have posted that up when they did the whole Baldur's Gate set, because Nine-Fingered Keen has a crazy back history. Anyhow, you like gate decks, this is a great fix. But the mana abilities of Thran Portal cost an additional 1 life to activate. So you can put this out and it's a plains and it taps for a white mana. But every time you use it, it costs you a life, right? So there is that payoff, there is that trade-off, and it does feel very Thranish, which I dig. Now, I want to talk about Vesuvan Duplimancy because this card to me is a home run on so many levels. 1 blue and 3 for an enchantment that says, whenever you cast a spell that targets only a single artifact or creature you control, create a token that's a copy of that artifact or creature, except it's not legendary. This is bonkers dumb. Hi, I'm going to play a spell that gives my 1 creature +1/+1. Oh, okay, make an extra copy of that creature. Haha, say what now? Yeah, you can do that as much as you want. Oh, what if I hit a legendary? Don't worry, all the tokens are non-legendary. So you can have as many copies as you want. It's just, this is insane, right? And the flavor concept behind it's great as well. Basically, it talks about how there hasn't been an original idea in Vesuva for forever. The idea is that they basically just copy and steal off each other for time immemorial, because the original Vesuvan Doppelganger was our first view into the world of Vesuva. And since then, it's been established that the entirety of the Isle of Vesuva is dedicated to shapeshifters that just copy everybody else. There are really no original forms on Vesuva. It's populated by crazy shapeshifters. So this card is mega flavorful and also epically powerful. I am absolutely going to put this in my cube. Now it's time to talk about Shadowrite Priest. This thing is busted. 1 black and 1. It's a 2/2 human cleric. It's part of the Lord cycle that we're seeing in Dominaria United. This one gives other clerics you control +1/+1. But the craziness is this. 2 black and 3. Tap them. Sacrifice another cleric. Search your library for a black creature card. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. You can literally go and get any creature from your deck that's black and put it straight into play for free. That's bonkers. The flavor text says, backstabbing is common within demonic cults. So are front and side stabbing. Sounds about right. I mean, everybody's looking to get ahead. And if you can sacrifice one of your fellow clerics and summon up a being of immense power, why wouldn't you, right? This feels incredibly strong. All you have to do is feed 1 cleric to it to go and get a creature, but this is repeatable. You don't sacrifice the right priest as well, so he can keep doing it turn after turn. It just feels like something that is going to run away with games. That wraps up the spoilers. Hope you enjoyed it, my friends. Big shout out to my patrons. Link to Fantasy Geographic for lore, and link to my other channel where there'll be a secret live stream tonight. See you later.